Welcome to the Black Forest and a Tracer 700 review. Oh man, it feels good to be on the bike again after 2 weeks of crappy weather. So I figure today what I'll do is just ride some of my home stretches and do a little bit of a 6,500 kilometer review. So what I'll be doing is I'll be discussing some of the pros and cons of this bike, and ultimately my decision as to why I think at the beginning of next season I'm going to be trading it in or selling it. I'll go over a couple of things that I don't like about the bike, but I'm gonna say my review is overwhelmingly positive. Oh, what the? Alright, buddy. So I guess the place to start is with the in-town manners. I am now in second gear, and this is one of the things. This bike has a very, very, very sensitive throttle. On the one hand, it's great for learners because smooth inputs are the name of the game. And you learn how to ride really smoothly with this bike. You just got to mind the throttle a little bit. Second gear especially. First gear is super sensitive and twitchy. Look at all these guys out today. Fourth gear, 50. Not a problem. Super smooth. Now the other thing about this bike, and I think this is true for all the MT-07 series bikes, is that it's got some crazy engine braking. So you have to really be careful when you're coming up to a corner, because your back wheel can very easily skip out. And it's done it for me a couple of times. You really need to rev match well or shift in the right band. But now, getting away from those negatives, I'm going to go to a positive. This bike is extremely nice in the corners. Very light. I mean, what other adventure bike or sport tour is below 200 kilograms wet with a 17-liter tank? It's part of the thing that attracted me to this bike. The lightweight really helps a lot when you're throwing it around corners. It loves corners. But the brakes, I have absolutely no complaints about the brakes. The brakes are wonderful. Good enough for me. I don't have a lot of experience with different bike brakes. These are not Brembos. But it definitely stops the bike. And you know, you get used to anything. These might not be the sharpest brakes, but hey, they do. They'll do just fine. It's very flickable, but it does have that sort of feeling like you're sitting on top of the bike, not in it. And for long distances, super comfortable. Super duper comfortable. Some people complain that the steering column is a little bit short, like the handlebars. But yeah, that's again something that you get used to, and it's not like a massive bike that you have to power around everywhere. your lane, buddy. This suspension. Okay, so going fast on bad roads is not good on this bike, and cornering with this suspension is just not a fun place to be, especially if you're kind of at a fairly high speed. Like I just have to slow down so much for bad roads, which is a safe thing obviously, but I can't take in the corner speed that I want to, because once it gets bumpy it just gets uncomfortable and a little bit scary the way it hops up and down. And it wallows a bit. But on a perfect turn like this, absolutely no problems. See, I even went over a little patch there, not an issue. It's just when the roads get bumpy and you've got some bumpy turns, bad asphalt, then the suspension lets me down. Passing power, by the way, even on uphills, no problem with this bike. This bike is light, it's got power, and it's got just enough power for the streets. I mean, 73, 74 horsepower, whatever. That's a lot. That's more than enough to get you in trouble. No rider aids, obviously. Just plain old ABS and that's it, which everybody should have. I'm gonna go ahead and stop up here. This is the standard seat. The standard seat is perfectly okay. I just got done with a ride to the Donut just 2 weeks ago. 6 hours there and back. My butt wasn't hurting. You can shift around. You can even sit on this upper lip if you're tall like me, just to stretch the legs a little bit. So from a comfort standpoint, excellent, no issues. This windscreen, the Jivy windscreen, really does help quite a bit. I found the upper position is not too super aerodynamic, so I keep it in the middle position, and on hot days all the way down, so I get plenty of air. I do a lot of riding to destinations where I'm going to have to get onto the Autobahn too. I mean, not just around the Black Forest here, but sometimes I want to go a bit further. And the slight instability on the Autobahn is one of the main things. Like, I just do not feel comfortable going over 150 on this bike. It just, it gets tossed around in the wind. It feels a little bit flighty. So I feel like I may try something a little more aerodynamic or a little bit heavier just for the longer trips. And cruise control would be really, really nice. Nowadays, anything with ride-by-wire throttle pretty much has cruise control. You do have to work the gears a lot. You got to stay in that the upper rev bands if you want to pass very quickly and that sort of thing. You can't keep it down in 2000 all the time, or 2000, 3000 in 6th gear. That's not going to work with this bike. You have to be in the right gear. I did have one more thing to say before I finish up here, and that is on the question of the fuel economy. Fuel economy is decent. It's over 350 kilometers easily, but you're 400, you're really stretching it, and you gotta be really driving Miss Daisy for that. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. Accessories that were worth it. Definitely this was worth it. The Ibex engine guard down there, sump guard, crash protectors. Thank goodness I haven't had to use them. Jivy windshield, definitely an upgrade, definitely helpful. Yes, this was good. The Evotech radiator guard, Helps with cleaning. I get all the insects caught here first, so they're easy to brush off. And I'm not sure if I would get the bar bag again. I mean, it's handy, but the touch functions don't work so well through the plastic. They do work, but they're not excellent. And the bad thing is, when you have a phone in here, you can't have it plugged in with the USB unless you have like an angled cable, because it's just like way too big then, and the USB cable gets all twisted and it just doesn't fit, basically. Great bike. I'm very happy with it. I could actually happily ride it another season, but I'm planning some bigger trips where a bit more stability and Autobahn manners are required, or wanted anyway. It's not required. I mean, I could easily do those trips with this bike. So we'll see. Love it. Great bike. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll see what I get next.